is and how it's going to be structured. So over the course of the next 3 weeks, and we kicked off earlier this week on Tuesday, we're hosting a 6-part webinar series that go across a variety of different topics that we hope are going to be helpful for you guys as you're talking to your clients and really setting up and buying campaigns for your clients on Pinterest. So for anyone who's registered or attends these, you're going to receive the recap email within several days of the webinar completion. There's going to be a recording, so have no fear if you missed a part. There'll also be a PDF of this presentation, so you have all these materials afterwards that you can reference when you're talking to clients, or if you just need to brush up on something, you'll have all of that for you. So again, no fear if you aren't able to attend all of the webinars live. Again, if you registered, you're going to get all of the materials in the recap email. And also know that if you are signed up for Pinterest newsletters via your Pinterest account teams, you're going to receive all the materials in those newsletters as well. So if you don't know how to sign up for receiving newsletters, please reach out to your Pinterest account manager or partner manager, or always you can use the email that's connected to this webinar series, and I can help set you up as well. Again, these webinars are meant to be short and digestible, so you guys can watch them or brush up on anything as you need it or to reference them. So before we get started, I just want to go through a couple housekeeping items. So when our presenters are done, we are going to have some time for Q&A. Some of you probably use GoToWebinar, maybe not all of you have, but it is important to note that there is a widget that appears on your screen. Within the widget, there's a questions section. So you can just type in your questions there, and that's how we're going to get your questions and go ahead and answer what we can at the end of the webinar. Anything we don't get to, we'll try and follow up with in the recap email. Also, there's going to be a super short webinar survey. These are really important for us to understand, if there's an appetite to host these in the future. Also, just want to be better for anything that we do in the future with webinars and really understand what's valuable for you and your teams. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Nikki Bazzani from the Pinterest Pin Factory. We're going to walk through ad formats and creative best practices for brand-based objectives. Note right now that there is sound throughout this webinar, so if you have headphones on, you might want to turn it down a little bit because it can get kind of loud. With that, I'll pass it to Nikki.
Thanks, Adrienne. Today we'll be going over ad formats and looking at a ton of examples of creative for brand-based objectives. Here's a little snippet of one video from Netflix, The Crown, an amazing series. But let's get into it. First, I'm going to introduce you to some ad formats that are available on Pinterest now. And then I'll go into detail around video, how we bucket our video best practices into discover and do content, and I'll also share with you some best practices to help make your promoted pins helpful and engaging for your clients. Every day, millions of people come to Pinterest looking for new ideas and products to try and buy. And in fact, almost 9 out of 10 people say Pinterest helps them find new ideas. 72% find Pinterest introduce them to new brands and services. That means as a brand, you have the perfect canvas to really influence your customers with your message at a time when they're more open to kind of hear and remember it. And the best ideas come from businesses. Without businesses, really, Pinterest just wouldn't look or feel the same. Ideas from businesses are actionable, they're credible, they're relevant, and that's why they're also essential for Pinterest. If you listen in on some of the other webinars by now, you've probably heard that pins are ideas, and I'll mention that a couple times throughout this webinar. And that's because they really are. So whether you're looking how to retile your bathroom, or maybe you need to learn how to pack your suitcase efficiently for a trip abroad, Pinterest is filled with billions of ideas. And we've seen that promoted pins really move those key brand metrics. During a campaign for a beauty department, a mass retailer improved their brand favorability amongst the millennial audience by over 15 points. Another brand, when launching a new makeup product, drove 25-point increase on purchase intent. A major food brand had a recipe-focused campaign around football season that I worked on last year, and it drove a 10-point uptick in message association. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the methodology and metrics for these studies, come back on the 26th of this month. We're hosting a measurement webinar then. So let's take a look at the formats. Pinterest has incredibly native ad units designed to showcase your brand's best attributes. So standard pins here, which you see on the left, allow you to seamlessly bring your existing content onto Pinterest, whether it's from your blog, microsite, repurposing those assets. You can use standard pins to really showcase what makes your brand unique or educate pinners about your product. Think too about using rich pins because they allow you to add in a little bit extra detail on those pins. Cinematic pins, which you see here in the middle, Samsung's, it's made for mobile format. It's designed to capture the attention and really the delight of the audience using motion. Video pins. Warning, there is a little bit of sound here on this video pin. So video pins use sight, sound, and motion to really engage with the pinner. You'll see here through the adaptive in-feed preview and then going into the full screen native video player. We'll get into a little bit more on video coming up. There are two main ways in which people use Pinterest: discovery and search. And we have two distinct offerings that play into both those behaviors. The feed offering reaches people in kind of the discovery and browsing mindset using audience-based buying, data targeting. The search offering reaches people in kind of this like seeking mindset using keyword-based buying and targeting. So here's a little more in-depth look into cinematic pins. For Stella's the example here, you see this adaptive motion. This motion moves when the pinner is scrolling. So when the pinner stops, the motion stops. When they click to close up, the image will autoplay as the person kind of scrolls. And now here are some examples of promoted video. Again, there's some sound here. This is an example from Hunter Boots out in the UK. And here you see all the steps. So first the pinner scrolls. Their attention is really captured in the feed through this interactive preview. Then they go to click and close up, allowing that video to play full screen. And lastly, the feature pins at the bottom increase purchase intent by showcasing just a selection of 6 related pins. These pins can be relevant to the movie or it offers another place for you to tell your story. Let's see if this will play. Sorry about that, guys. There you go. So you can scroll, click, find out more. Great. Moving on to Pinterest Explore tab. It's really a go-to destination and it lives on the search tab. What's great about it is it's highly, highly curated by a group of editors here at Pinterest, and it's updated every 24 hours. So you're getting really fresh, relevant content. Here's a look at it from a consumer side. So see here, you see these tiles, and you can open up into all different types of categories, from food, style, home, DIY. From a partner perspective, you see here we partnered with a publisher, Tastemade. This is a premium placement fixed, like I said, for 24 hours. It's extremely limited availability, but it's really great because you can promote this hero video multiple times. There's also a place for you to see 3 to 6 additional videos as you auto scroll. It auto scrolls after each video finishes. So you see one video play. Once that ends, you see how another one just moved up. Really great format here to keep the pinner really engaged. All right. Now we'll quickly look at some best practices as you launch maybe your first set of promoted pins, or you just want a refresher on some best practices for promoted pins. So, as I said before, pins are ideas, and when people get ready to plan a project, an event, or purchase something, they go to Pinterest. And as a brand, this really allows you to be the point of entry for your next customer to find your brand and really purchase your products. The core experience is pretty simple. People browse ideas for their everyday lives, and then they save ones that are interesting to them. And then they'll take a look at them later when they want to take action on it. There's 3 things that pins should be. The first is helpful. Like I said, people come to Pinterest to really discover new ideas to improve their lives, offering tips, advice, promotions even, showcasing your product in a helpful way. They should also be beautiful. As you guys have probably seen, Pinterest is a really visual platform. It's very commercial in nature. Ensure your pin images are kind of professionally shot, have great lighting, great composition to really fit into the other pins on the platform. And lastly, you want to move the pinner to take the action. So make it easy for someone to take action on the pin by nudging them with a call to action even, helping them move in the pinner journey. And you might have heard the pinner journey before, but let's take a look at it from the lens of creative. So often someone will come to Pinterest in kind of a just looking mindset. They're browsing their feed, and it's not until they see a pin like this TJ Maxx pin that showcases pillows that they think to themselves, maybe I could pull this off or this look off in my own apartment. And of course, then they move on to knowing what they want. So they go and they search for the sequin pillow, and it's not until they see the pillow from Pier 1 that they go and look and purchase it later. So this is the pinner journey from just looking to maybe I could to knowing what I want. So here's some best practices to keep in mind for promoted video. We have tested many promoted videos to date, and we see a 9-second preview dwell time. So the in-feed preview looks similar to the cinematic, and we measure dwell time as the amount of time a pinner is kind of moving up and down on that preview. 67% of people say, people on Pinterest say that they're inspired to take action, which is really great. And then 75% of people watch video on Pinterest to learn something. So they're in this mindset of not only learning, but also taking some action. And that's how we divide kind of our best practices around discover and around do. So our guiding principles for discovery content is that it's visually arresting, it's inspiring, and it's actionable. Think of a discovery content like a movie trailer, like La La Land has here. So here, Lionsgate repurposed a few snippets of the trailer for the in-feed preview. And then when you click to close up, you'll see the entire video, or the entire trailer, I mean, with more behind-the-scenes looks in the featured pins. Kate Spade was launching this great campaign around personalizing your own Kate Spade handbag with other Kate Spade accessories. So what they did is they showcase all of these different accessories through one, it looks like a continuously long scrolling pin here in the middle. And then they showcase how you can add those accessories on to personalize your bag. The last video here is from CoverGirl. This was a new product that they were launching called So Lashy Mascara. So they had a really cute little graphic there that you see an animation of a wink to capture the eye of the pinner in feed. And then once they go to click to close up, you'll see the full video. Again, this is repurposing some commercial content. And then you'll also see in the featured pins some more informational content. So that's discovery. Let's see if this will load. One moment. Great. So some guiding principles for do content. This is a lot more like educational, helpful, novel, and then of course we always want the pinner to take action, so actionable. So let's take a look at some examples here. Here's a Lowe's example. Bailey's, and then Pillsbury. So you can see a lot of these are lean more towards recipe, instructional, how-to, DIY types of content. Fantastic. Now let's take a look at some creative design to drive some customers in store. So when developing creative design to driving brand objectives, we're going to show off some examples for these 5 different tactics. Optimize for mobile, making the pin uber engaging, having a detailed description, incorporating some tasteful branding, and then having some sort of sense of novelty, never been seen before, or as I like to put it, having my mom say, "Oh, I found this on Pinterest." So optimizing for mobile, you want to make sure that your creative is in a canvas size of about 2 to 3. So that's the best size to take up the full screen when you're in the close-up view, which you see here. Make sure your landing page is also mobile optimized. Impressions served on tablet and mobile are around 80%. Make sure the pin's engaging. So their pinners are a hunt for ideas. They want information as quick as possible. So you can engage them by having this Ziploc here does a really great layout of a step-by-step where you see not only the call-outs with text overlay, but you also kind of have an understanding of how to do it just simply by the images alone. So adding information through infographics, lists, even calling out how to in the pin is really going to kind of capture that pinner's. The next one is detailed descriptions. Now, you can include up to 500 characters in the description, and it's really great to have all these different keywords in there for search purposes, but also because you want to get that pinner, when we're talking about the pinner journey, from the just looking to maybe I can pull that off. And one key way you can do that is by adding a little bit more context into the description itself. Pins with strong descriptions generate really high sales lifts. So incorporating as many keywords as you can is really great. Now let's talk about tasteful branding. I've seen branding done a couple ways on Pinterest. One you see here, Lululemon simply adds in the logo watermark. If your brand doesn't have a logo that's as maybe recognizable as Lululemon, incorporate your brand through product placement. Dryers, in fact, I believe, has never put a logo on one of their pins. They only use product kind of in the background or heroed in the shot somehow. Last is novelty. So developing new ideas is always great. Dryers here shows that you can make a Super Bowl Sunday brownie bowl with 2 muffin tins. Again, this is kind of like the saying, oh, I found this on Pinterest. Making it super novel will make it extra savable. So there's different ways to showcase your brand, like I had mentioned before. Product placement, logo watermarks. There's no one right way, but consider all the different ways you can do it. From Nordstrom's kind of repurposing their magazine page, very lifestyle focus, to Darby Smart incorporating both their branding through the box that you see and also logo watermarks. Bare Minerals here does a really great job of balancing both kind of the lifestyle, the full look with the products. And then in the description, they actually have in this pin how to use each product. And lastly, MeUndies, maybe like an up-and-coming brand, kind of reinforce their branding through product placement and logo watermark. So definitely play around and test both lifestyle, product, mix them together. Like I said, there's no one-size-fits-all. And here's a couple of different ways on developing your content. We know developing content resources could be hard sometimes with brands. So you can simply repurpose some content that you have on either your site or you use on other digital ways. Nordstrom's here had the perfume that they repurposed from their webpage. And then we simply added a border and some text overlay. You can do an in-house photo shoot as well and have full original content like Dryers has on the far right side. Lastly, here's an example of how we repurposed some content seen directly from the website. We added some helpful text overlay, a logo, and multi-images. And this multi-product pin was all created in a free imaging tool that you can find by searching the web. It saw 7 times higher clicks. So for a fairly unknown handbag brand down in LA, this is really, really important to them to drive traffic back to their site. So this is just one way on how to optimize creative. I'm going to end with some key takeaways. I've said it before, Pinterest is a place for ideas. People are on there to find new ideas that inspire them to take action in their everyday life. Pinterest promoted pins and video pins are great formats that help drive to your clients' KPIs. Promoted pins should always be beautiful, helpful, and actionable, and I hope I gave you some tips on how to accomplish that. And then promoted video helps drive awareness, especially when content fits into 2 different buckets, discoverability and actionability do. And with that, I think we'll open it up to some Q&A.
Yes. So thanks, Nikki, so much for walking through that. I hope that music woke everyone up on the line. Going on for a little bit with them. But, you know, I like the jams. And I hope that everything Nikki just walked through is really going to be helpful for everyone on the line when you're talking to your clients about their brand-based objectives, whether it comes from them, you know, using ad formats like video or cinematic, or even if they're using standard pins, but can potentially make those standard pins rich pins to give more information. And again, this will be available for you. This presentation will be available via the recap email. And we'll also provide a couple other documents, supporting documents, such as more ways that you can repurpose content. Nikki touched on that a little bit, but we also have a couple other ways how partners have been using you know, images and things from their print or Instagram or Facebook campaigns and be able to really repurpose that onto Pinterest. So we'll share that as well. Just wanted to get that out of the way, and then we'll jump into some Q&A here. So I'm going to look at the questions. And because we also have Ashley Gestrick back on the line. Again, she spoke in our first webinar about how to position Pinterest with your clients, and she's back here also to help answer any questions as we're talking through you know, the creative strategy for brand-based objectives alongside Nikki. So just know she might pop in also. All right. Do we have any idea, Ashley, I don't even know if we know this yet, but if we have any idea of when video pins are going to be available through the API and auction instead of just through that kind of insertion order that we have now?
Yep. Hi, everybody. This is Ashley. Yeah, happy to answer that. Right now, there are no plans to open this up for auction-based buying or the API, something we're definitely in the midst of testing, but for those of you who have run video in the past, this launched at the end of August, so we're constantly iterating, and I think for those of you who understand what we value most, it's the pinner experience, and so I think we want to make sure we really nail down our creative processes and approvals to make sure that when we open this up to auction, it's still a very immersive, engaging, and beautiful, actionable experience. So no plans as of right now. But for those of you that are part of our agency team newsletter, as soon as we have updates, that will be the first place we circulate them.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like we had a couple questions about that. So anybody who is asking about video or cinematic through the API or options, if you're a PMP, that would be not quite on the roadmap yet for what we're going to be doing. Great. Do we have any idea, ladies, I'm not sure if one of us knows this, what % of pins are video on the platform? Nikki?
Hi, yeah. I'm not sure exactly the percentage, but I know, and Ashley touched upon this a little when she just answered that last question, that we're all about protecting the pinner experience. So the pinner will actually only see one video, one static per session. So they're not seeing back-to-back-to-back videos. Video was launched back in August, so like I said, we're doing a lot of testing and learning to see what is the right percentage, what is the right amount.
Got it. In terms of just like what's under that featured content when we're talking about video pins, is that auto-populated or is that something that the clients are actually choosing on their own?
That is something that's chosen by the client. So like I said, it could be something that's relevant to the video itself. So Hunter's Boots did a really great job of showcasing every single product in that new line, which mapped back to that commercial. Some other brands are getting a little bit more fun with it and telling a longer story. There's a lot of storytelling that you can do with that canvas of featured pins.
Awesome. In terms of cinematic and video pins, we're just checking to see if they're available organically and or just promoted. Also, if we can promote any pin type. So perhaps you can kind of answer both those questions in one.
Yeah, Ashley, did you want to take this or I can?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm happy to. So the question is about organic availability of video pins.
Correct, video and cinematic, and then also if we can promote any pin type.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So for right now, promoted video just is a promoted ad product. We have seen instances where people will link off to videos off-site, but in terms of the actual native player experience in the slides that Nikki showed you for cinematic and video, that is promoted only right now. And then the other question, sorry, what was the second one?
If you can promote any pin type.
Any pin type. Yeah, so right now you can promote the following pin types. The standard image pins that Nikki showed, video. You can also promote rich pins. Adrian referenced them right before we closed the webinar out. Rich pins are essentially static image pins that pull in metadata from your client's website. You guys probably have seen them in the form of recipes. We also have movie, place, and a few other types. And that updates dynamically depending on if your client is changing their website. So you can promote those. Some of you may have also seen buyable pins on the site. Those are promotable as well. And we can talk a little bit more about other pin types that are promotable in our webinar next Tuesday. Also note that we have app install pins now that you can promote. And I'm trying to think if there's any other pin types that I missed. If I did, whoever wrote that question in, let me know if there's something specific you're asking about. But those are all the different types of pins that you can put paid media behind.
Thanks, Ashley. We actually just had a question come in about showing us an example of a rich pin. Nikki, I believe on one of the slides, we should be able to go back.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say is that the purpose of this deck was to really talk about ad formats that help you achieve kind of more brand-based KPIs. So whether that's a product launch, awareness of your brand. Next Tuesday, there's a webinar that's focused more on the DR side of the house. So we'll be showing rich pins definitely in that deck.
Yeah. Essentially, a rich pin, though, has like a little bit more information that's automatically pulled in from a website, just so you know. And typically, you can recognize a rich pin when it has a bolded title at the top. I don't know, Nikki, if you know what slide that was on.
Yeah, we can see a little bit of it in slide 23. So if you go back just a couple more, you'll see an example from Pillsbury. One of the top rich pins is a recipe pin. So they used it for their pumpkin spice donuts. Let's see, we're almost there. Here it is. Yeah. So you can see at the top of the image, you have this bolded headline. That comes from the headline that's on the website. And then, unfortunately, this isn't dynamic, so I can't scroll down. But if I were to scroll down below the image, you see the where it says baking and spices. The recipe is pulled from the website and then inserted automatically into the pin. So a pinner can easily see what spices they need, how much flour to put into this recipe, except baking time, etc. It's all right there in the pin. And that is using a recipe rich pin.
Yeah, and maybe in the follow-up email, we can send a link to more information on rich pins. Each type of rich pin pulls in different data. So a recipe rich pin in this case pulls in ingredients. We have product rich pins that can pull in price points. So we can send you guys a link that has a little bit more information on what the rich pin types are and what information they can pull in.
Absolutely, we'll share that in the follow-up. I have two more questions right now, and I'm not sure I understand this one, but when it comes to competitors for comparison in the Inspire to Take Action category, do we have any competitors for comparison in the Inspire to Take Action category? Whoever wrote that in, maybe if you want to give a little more clarity on which slide that you were seeing that in, that you want competitor comparison for, or what the slide looks like, unless either of you.
And I would also mention too that next week we're having a webinar series around creative for GR objectives. So if you're looking for a little bit more information from a creative perspective on how a pinner can take action and really look to pinner fulfillment, come back for that webinar.
Great. Okay, she clarified a little bit here. This is specifically an asterisk next to how much Pinterest inspires action relative to competitors. This is one of our stat slides, 77% versus 32%. We can go back and look at that slide and follow up with that in the recap email, just to make sure that we're clear on that. Then also there was a question about what entitles a session. I'm not quite sure what that one meant. When we're talking about sessions if we're talking about sessions on Pinterest, or if we're talking about, sessions in terms of these webinars, but
Adrian, I think that refers to Nikki during the Q&A was referring to the amount of video that we show a user for each session.
Yes.
Yeah, so a session is when we count it as when a person logs into Pinterest and browses and then logs back off. So that's like considered a pinner session.
Okay, awesome. Very helpful. Well, we don't have any more questions right now. This is we have a couple minutes left still if anyone wants to add anything. What about for always logged in sessions, Nikki, regarding what you just mentioned?
Yeah, I believe there is some time constraint on that. Let's follow up on the exact time.
Yeah, we can check on that. All right, and then we had another question come in. Are there any counting statistic rates, repin rate, view rate, click-through rate, for any one of the creative types that are correlated with improvements in brand perception or awareness? So more, I think this person's asking what's the right metric to be looking at if you're trying to drive brand perception or awareness and purchase intent. I don't know if, Ash, you have any perspective on that, just from working with agency partners, or if Nikki, you have any perspective there.
Yeah, what I would say is that's the sort of question we would investigate with a more bespoke brand study. So we do have a partnership with Millward Brown where we can measure brand metrics such as the ones that were just mentioned in that question. So purchase intent, brand awareness, consideration, etc. So I would say we don't have an overall benchmark just because different categories and different studies all vary pretty widely. But we would use a third-party measurement partner to kind of evaluate that for the specific campaign you're looking at. So I know that's a general question or answer, but that's how I would approach it. And we do have a webinar in a few weeks on measurement specifically where we talk about that partnership if you're interested in learning more about how we measure kind of more brand-based objectives.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I will say, this is Adrienne speaking. Again, I'm on the education team, but I was previously an account manager at Pinterest as well, and just looking at metrics such as, the kind of the softer metrics that you can look at in reporting, like repin rate or click-through rate. A lot of the times when partners had brand-based objectives, they would look at the overall engagement because it was, some sort of indication or intent that someone was taking with that piece of content or that idea that the brand was promoting. So that's just something a little bit softer if you're not in the realm of having a measurement study just yet. You can look at overall engagement. It really depends on what's most important to the partner. Maybe saving and having that kind of virality across Pinterest is really important. So I would probably say for those softer metrics, either repin rate or engagement rate. Can we go back to the do best practices screen? Sure, let's find that one. All right, it takes a little while to get from slide to slide because these video files are.
Yeah. I think you can go, it's slide 26 if you just hit the little menu.
Oh, perfect. Go to slide 26.
Yes.
Examples of do content. Perfect. There we go. So we're back on this screen here. Just to see a couple different brands here. So we have Lowe's, we have Bailey's, and then the Pillsbury example. And again, I'll have a PDF of this, so you won't see the animation when you get the follow-up email with the presentation, but you will be able to see at least who the brands were. And you can even go on Pinterest and look at these brands' profiles and check out their content there as well.
Was there a specific question for any of these examples?
Awesome. I don't think there was a question specific to that, just checking out which the brands were.
Okay.
All right. We don't have any other questions coming through, so I think maybe we will end the webinar here. And, oh, there we go. How long can a video be? Oh, how long are the videos for the pins when you're promoting video pins?
The videos can be up to 4 minutes. And then the in-feed preview, that's actually a GIF file, not a .mov file. And the restriction for the file size is 1 megabyte.
Great. And especially, you know, knowing that video promoted pins as well as cinematic promoted pins are going to be have to be bought on an IO basis, you would be working with the Pinterest account team in that case. So they would also be able to provide you more specifics around the specs for each of those types of ad formats. Deeper than that even. Awesome. All right, well, I think we're going to close it up now. And again, we're going to follow up with different materials around this stuff. We'll have a link to give you more information about rich pins. I'm going to share the repurposing content slides that we have. So we'll follow up there, and any other resources that we can share, we're also including the recap email for you guys. And we look forward to you joining us again in some of the future webinars. I'm going to actually click to the last, go to the last slide here to show you what is coming up next, since we've had, let's see if it gets there. There we go. All right, so just so you guys know, this will be included in the presentation, but here are the rest of the remaining webinars that we have. We've referenced a couple of them. If you have more specific questions on any of these subjects, feel free to join those and ask them there. Or even if you register, you'll get any of the follow-up materials. And thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great Thursday, and thanks for joining.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.